Commissioner Randy Leonard is driving away in that Matrix, and Cameron's on a hunger strike. We just listened to the police report, internal audit of their murder of 5 people, many of whom were unarmed, who are alleged to be mentally ill when their problem is that they are African American in Portland, which has given the police reason to kill them. And so I basically effectively in my 3 minutes spoke of red line districts and the KKK in Portland and the history of white racism, Anders Breivik, and how the police is under fire there for not taking seriously enough white power movements as they are existing in Portland. And I brought up G4S, torture, Guantanamo, and the kind of law work that will rubber stamp corruption versus the kind of law work that is focused on justice. The mayor himself was rude at me when I asked for an extension. He extended a grant to Copwatch. He then asked who I was and who I was with. I said, I'm Mary Ang, I've studied with the Lawyers Guild, and he said, no, you're not. And then Randy Leonard said, no, you're not. But the sad thing about Randy Leonard is when I came up to his office to ask him about waterboarding and torture, which the city seemed to be endorsing with the Condoleezza Rice event, he said, yeah, I waterboard my staff. And I thought that was deeply unprofessional of him. So for him, and my response to Sam when he impugned my credibility was, there's no need to, it is not necessary to diminish my status because my points are universal. And any attempts to have any kind of ego war regarding status or skills or qualifications, I felt was a really petty way of him to try to put me down. And yeah, so that kind of started off my speech with a kind of a bad vibe, in my opinion. But I held it together and managed eye contact with everybody. Responsive, I believe, was Amanda Fritz, as well as Fish, I believe. And Leonard seemed open, and Sam Adams seemed condescendingly dismissive. So those are the 4 people we spoke to. And then the very well-qualified lawyers who gave the report on police brutality had a very it was a pat on the back to the police department after killing so many people. It was a complete pat on the back. And so that was what I described to them as a dead-end job in law, which that was kind of funny for me to insult these people, but they're basically getting paid to tell the police department they're good people. But the points that I didn't get to bring up due to the time extension being cut off were the internationalization of perspective, and that if we looked at the death penalty as itself criminal, as most of the world does, most of Europe does, many countries in South and Central America, then this complete imposition of the death penalty in impromptu scenarios by the Portland police upon African American men in their 20s would be potentially looked on very differently as a severe human rights crime, which this police audit is failing to look at the severity of it, and they're just kind of smoothing over Panaches to pat the commissioners on the back, and they're not assessing the racial nature of the profiling, nor are they assessing the financial drain on the city with the repeated lawsuits. And so one idea I thought for a positive idea for the city would be to provide foundational grants to empower the community. And I brought up the economy because nobody was bringing up the economy and disenfranchisement of areas of the city in terms of what's going on with these killings and this sort of American crime culture. And the monocultural viewpoint here can't see a way around that, and they're looking at policing as the band-aid approach to problems that are much more endemic and systemic. Yeah, so it was good to bring up torture and Guantanamo and G4S in one sentence, because they're going to get a little bit more about that next week, so that'll get them ready to do their homework. And Cameron's on day 5 of his hunger strike. He's the reason I'm down here, my hero and my inspiration.